Hey everybody, it's Christian Buckley doing another MVP Buzz Chat, and I'm talking today with Bobby. Hello.
Hey, Christian, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. And for folks that don't know you, Bobby, who are you? Where are you? And what do you do?
Yep. First off, who are these folks that don't know me? Because all I do is get my face out on LinkedIn. So I'm in the grocery store and people are like, "Hey, I saw you on LinkedIn. Why are you on my LinkedIn?"
I've got a sticker somewhere. I like it's missing here. I usually have it. It's the "Don't you know who I am" sticker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm entitled. Don't you know who I am? No, yeah, my name is Bobby Small. I've been in the Dynamics or pre-Dynamics AX space for about 25 years. I got my IT degree and got out in the world and just happened to get with a company that was implementing AX and got integrated into the community and loved it. It's been a constant in my career, from IT director, vice president of information systems at an apparel company, using the product, to a partner for a few years in between, and now working for the community. So I work for Dynamics User Groups, or Doug, if you know us out there. We're putting on user group events for local, so 60 plus local groups getting together on a regular basis, usually 2 or 3 a week. Regionals happening at least once a month around the world, and then our signature event, which happens every year, DynamicsCon, coming up next May in Las Vegas. So that's what I'm up to. So what I do is kind of work with the community to figure out what they want, to help bring opportunity and to stay connected with what's going on. That's the favorite part of my job, is to get out and chat with folks and do all the things around connecting with the community.
So I joined Microsoft in early 2006, and so that's when Microsoft started to do some of the acquisitions that are all part of
Hmm.
the Dynamics family now. And yet it seemed like when I got back in the partner ecosystem and would go to the partner conferences and Ignite or the old Tech Eds,
Hmm.
that the dynamic side just wasn't getting the love that it deserved. The last 3 4 years, especially, it's really ramped up.
Yeah.
In fact, a number of businesses that were on the collaboration side, like purely like SharePoint shops, transitioned over into Dynamics. One I'm good friends with out of Salt Lake area, like their business flipped entirely with about 2 3 years, went from 80% SharePoint to now 80% of their business on the Dynamic side. Like, what's going on over in the space?
Yeah, I mean, I think Power Platform, like this citizen development movement, energized the community. I mean, for people who even had a knack, like if you're just like, I'm interested, like, the super user, everybody has them in their business. They're the ones you turn to. Typically, they're super using Excel, and they still will and still do. But they're the folks that are interested in propelling the business. So Power Platform, I think, opened this up, starting way back with Power BI, as folks using that, but as Power Apps and Power Pages, and obviously with Copilot coming along, and just all these easy access ways for your basic users to get in, has really excited the industry. And I think, to your point, not just organizations like ours out there putting on events, but there are partners and ISVs that are starting their own events. There, like you said, events cropping up. Microsoft is getting back. I was just talking just before we jumped on. We're working with Microsoft. They are interested in getting back to convergence. I don't know if you remember
Oh
convergence.
yeah. Oh really? Okay.
So
I
yeah.
know
So
that there's a couple executives at Microsoft that are like this whole move to like the online, the digital. I mean, obviously during pandemic, but
mhm.
post pandemic, they're like, no, this is not flying. We need to get back to doing events,
Yeah.
which I think is a great thing.
Yep. So they're sponsoring what it's called, Convergence. It's not even, it's the namesake. It's not. It's going to be slightly different than what somebody who attended Convergence in its last iteration in 2015 would have seen. But it is, to your point, Microsoft's opportunity to get back to getting a roadmap in front of the users. I mean, they do Ignite and they do Build, and these are all great events. They're typically partner heavy, ISV heavy events. This will be a very specific roadmap for customers. So there's just a lot of excitement. And I think, it's undeniable that AI is certainly an even bigger catalyst to getting people energized around, learning more about what the products can do.
So I know, Bobby, you've been an MVP now for, is it 2 years? Is this your second year?
This is my first year,
Oh,
Christian,
first
actually.
year. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So brand new in the area.
Yep.
What was your journey to becoming an MVP? I mean, you've been in this space a long time.
Yeah. So funny, you said 2 years. I think what for me the impetus was basically, and what when people ask about MVP, I was kind of already doing a lot of things, and so
Yeah.
I was in the community. I was donating my time, mentoring folks, putting on events here locally. Writing blogs, keeping in touch with the technology, and trying to keep others in touch with the technology, and really supporting the community. My background is in I was an IT director, so I've got that broad management skill, but I was a programmer for 15 years as well. So I was programming X++. So very technical oriented is, some keeping myself kind of involved in all those pieces.
Hmm.
And people kept saying to me, "Oh, yeah, you're an MVP. You should be going to this." And I'm like, but I'm not. And like, "Oh, you're not." And so eventually, I just, I like to share, and the joke. I did the hard part, which was to coordinate all of the actual necessary documentation to submit an MVP
Hmm.
um, application, because that truly is, there's a lot that goes into it. But I was kind of already doing all the things, so it just made sense to go ahead and be a
Well,
part to, and mainly when asked, and you've done this, there's that, why are you doing this? And for me, it was just another catalyst to being able to spread joy and education and networking through the community. So just another slightly broader platform to allow me to do that.
but
um
was it one of those situations? Because I had the same thing where people was like, "Well, you're an MVP." It was like, "Well," I'm like, "No." They're like, "Well, why are you doing all this stuff?" It's like, This is just part of who I am."
yeah.
And,
Yep.
and so I was doing this before I was even in the Microsoft ecosystem. So I've been in tech for almost 35 years, and I've always done this stuff. But part of it was that my conversation was sitting backstage in the green room of a conference where we're speaking. There were a couple MVPs, and one of them is just like, "Well, I'm going to submit you. Is that okay?" I'm like, "Sure." Nobody's asked. Nobody's
Yeah.
mentioned. Like, was that kind of with you? Is it did just that nobody asked?
100%. I think I had similar conversations, and even going back a couple of years, I had a good friend who eventually did nominate me, and she said, "Why, let me nominate you." And I said, "Cool, let's talk about it." And so I spent some time, but then, it's funny, again, in doing all the things I was doing, it was hard to put time into doing the things that you need to do to submit an application. And
Yeah.
so I felt, to your point, why are you doing this? I do it because I love it. And so I'll do it, as we get these waves of people coming into MVP, and smaller waves of people, graduating out. Um, if they graduated me out next year, I'll still continue to do everything I'm doing because I
Right.
love doing it. I love giving back to the community. Um, so it just took me those couple of years to get serious and say, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to set aside the time and make this a priority to get things going. But exactly as you said, I had people offering to nominate me, and it was just, I don't want to do it until I was ready. And then when I
Yeah.
was ready, boom, I got it knocked out and
I
submitted quickly because
I like your phrasing too of graduated out. I mean, because the reality is that like we're here. It's not like it's a technical certification. It's an award. It's granted by
yeah,
somebody there at Microsoft that said, "Hey, this individual has done these things, and we want to award them with this." And it's a bit of a black box, but it also, as the technology changes, as the climate changes around the different groups, and what they would like to get from their MVPs and the people that they want to be able to work. It's not like there's a cap on the number.
right.
Um, it is not one that they tell us anyway. They say there's no cap, but it just kind of naturally ebbs and flows. But with that, we realize that like while I'd love to hit the 25-year mark, and I've got a couple friends that are 25-year MVPs.
That's awesome.
I'm not under any illusions that like a lock. If I just keep doing what I'm doing, you've got to change and adapt with the technology as well.
You bet. That's an important piece. I think, even to, why you would have, that graduation of folks coming out and new voices coming in, because you want to support what's happening in the now, and make sure that you've got, folks that are just emerging in the industry, joining into this collective MVP voice that's growing. And it's okay, there's a cap perhaps of the voices, because you
They
do
say
want it to
there
be.
isn't. I think I think quietly there is, but that's okay. No,
Yeah, and it feels like the right thing. You want, like, for me, it's like, because if it gets too diluted, then all of a sudden it isn't as effective, and it isn't as maybe the voice isn't as strong. So having, some type of cap, makes sense. And I think, but that's why, getting people in and moving people on, even if you're contributing, maybe it's just time. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Um,
here's I've got a question for you. This is go a little bit different with these interviews, but given your background, this conversation, and given your involvement with user groups and events and all that going on too, is um, a lot of user groups have struggled with growing post
yeah.
COVID, and one of the things, one of the discussions, like needing to change it up, not necessarily the topics, although that's always changing and growing, but even in the types of events, what is your advice there for user groups that are struggling to get back to 30, 40, 50 people in a room, and they're hanging on with 6 to 8 people?
Yeah. Some of it, Christian, is sheer luck. I mean, you just get a good group of folks that resonate with each other. But having done this a couple times now in Colorado, when I took over as a leader here in 2013 with the local group, there was like 4 people. It was myself and one other end user, and then a partner, and a gentleman from Microsoft had attended this one meeting in December of 2013. And then it was just a matter of consistency. We just started with a consistent meeting cadence. Obviously, the topics are important, so making sure you're providing good topics and protecting the space for the end user too. I mean, I love the fact that our current user group here in Colorado is a great mix of end users, partners, and ISVs, all of whom get the idea of what we're trying to accomplish at a local level, which is purely 100% education and networking.
Yeah.
So the folks that are coming from partners and ISVs, they've shed any pretense of sales, and just they're there to learn and be with
I
friends in the industry, and that
I
makes a
think that's
big
like
difference.
I think that's the number one reason, or where I've seen user groups die, is that it's usually like the partner that's like sponsoring it, or hosting the location, that then treats it as like it's our user group. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
and they kind of forget why it exists in the first place.
Yep. So if you set a tone like that, then most I've been, it's been a long time. Going way back, there were some partners where as a leader we had to step in and make some adjustments, but currently haven't had any issues. It's just that, so that helps. And then again, I think the cadence, the consistency is important,
Yeah.
and then time. I mean, in some cases it's been like boom, and other cases it's slow growth, but just sticking with it. If it's something that's passionate to you, then you'll stick with it and you'll see that come around. We are currently in Colorado on a given meeting. We can get, just with our finance and ops group, 40 people. So we do get a really good, consistent mix too of end users, ISVs, Microsoft folks, and more importantly, wherever they are. You've been doing this a while. You know that these folks move across all these platforms too. You might have, I was an end user who went to a partner who's now at a community. You might have gone from community to Microsoft to partner to end user. So you've got all this wealth of experience that comes together in this room that can really start to create some great synergies and friendships and things that have kept our group going really strongly here in Colorado.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, I realized I was spoiled when I was living in the Seattle area. I left Microsoft and immediately joined the board of the user group, hosted at a Microsoft facility where we had the benefit of all of these Microsoft leaders coming in and speaking to our group. So excellent turnout from that.
Hmm.
Then to move to Salt Lake, and then, where we had a good sized group, we did some events, some of our SharePoint Saturday events. I think our largest, we almost hit 400 people,
Hmm.
which is, for a community event,
That's
that is
great. Yeah.
excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where we've got some ideas that we're going to try and mix things up. Now I'm in the Dallas area,
Hmm.
and the user group hasn't existed for a couple years, so I think, similar to you, like there's 3 or 4 people that are willing to try again, but they're trying to find somebody to kind of take the reins. Sometimes that's what it takes. And I always give this advice to, like, to folks that are interested in becoming MVPs, especially, is that when Microsoft looks at the all the things that you could do for the community, I do think that they give more weight, more gravity to people that take the time, are consistent, and drive user groups more than anything else that go and build user groups and maintain those.
Yeah.
It's a great place to go and get involved if you're looking, if you want to start that journey. If you're doing other things already out in the community, but like
It's an
that's
easy
one area where it just has a lot of weight.
if you've got a user group that's already in your area that's thriving, getting involved for sure. Or again, you made an excellent point when people talk about the success of a user group. There has to be two things for me. There has to be not just one, but multiple people passionate about making that user group a success.
Yeah.
Because one individual is great, but if I ever have to
It-
step aside, change industries, then boom, that user
right.
group is going to die off quickly because everybody else is expecting that one
Right.
person. But when you insulate it with 2 to 3 people, then you've got some resiliency built in. And so that even if it's just a 2 month period, like, hey, I'm traveling or whatever, I can't organize. That's okay. Christian's picking it up and he's doing it, and we're
Right.
trading off and we're keeping this going with much greater success there.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I just fall back on to your point again. If you're already doing these things, that goes a long way, in my opinion. Again, I don't know what the criteria is all told, but I feel like that the folks at Microsoft are looking for people that are consistently doing this. I just read an article and I think it was Carl Sand I'm not going to say it right. Carl Sandburg sounds wrong. It's a baseball player for the
Hmm.
Chicago White Sox,
Okay.
uh, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame. When they asked him about the way he went about business, it wasn't about getting into the Hall of Fame. He just said, I do what I feel is right. I do what I have passion for. And it just so happens that I was awarded this Hall of Fame, and that's awesome, but it wasn't the driver. And to me,
Yeah.
that is the one thing that I hold, again, if you're doing these things, do them with passion, do them because you want to do them. And then if you are interested in being an MVP on top of that, it should be a pretty easy process for you.
Right. Agreed. No, it's that's why I say again and again, it's like I would be doing everything I'm doing regardless of the program. If it goes away next year, I'm still going to be doing the stuff that I'm doing.
Yep.
Probably not MVP interviews anymore. It'll be, you know, but
It'd be like alumni interviews at that point.
yeah,
Remember the old days?
exactly. Hey, I do actually interview occasionally. I've had some former MVPs on here as
Yeah.
well and talk about that. But one last, I can't go with one of these interviews without also talking on the technology side of it.
Mhm.
What's most exciting in your space like right now? What are you writing about, talking about? What got you excited?
Yeah, so I mean, I can't. It's for me, being like a serious developer and moving into more of a community role. I'm definitely out of touch with development. So that's I mean, fortunate, unfortunate. I still love it. I still, if I'm talking with somebody, still have chops to talk about it, and I stay enough in line with the technology to be able to converse and hold conversation and have opinion. But obviously, it's AI, and so I'm really diving into things that I can control in my current life and in space. So working a lot on helping folks with adoption, understanding how organizations can get ramped up and into that space, into that that readiness mode for adoption, governance. Just those are the important for me topics as I'm seeing out there, and prompting all these things around AI, helping people understand. And this goes beyond industry. Like, I mean, if you're in tech, people are constantly asking me, at least I don't know about you, but like, what's all of this AI? And there's people who are into it, there are people who are not
Yeah,
into it. So just really trying to ground people in reality and what to expect, and get them into, again, a better headspace if they're on a negative side as to how they can start to integrate AI in their lives or organizations. So I feel like that's kind of my mission, something I'm passionate about. I love the technology around this and where it can take us, and also the scary side. But how do we mitigate that scary side, just not for my own edification, but for others as well?
yeah. Very cool. Well, I really appreciate your time and getting to meet you, and hopefully we'll see you at one or two of these events. I'm out there at least a couple times a year out your direction,
Yeah.
but probably not the crowd, the tech events that you're attending. But we'll have to stay connected.
Like I said, I've been checking out these community days, which are evolving from the SQL Saturdays, right? So I went to
And there's
one in.
plenty of room for dynamic stuff over in that session. I mean,
I know
it's
I'm working with Emily Mancini in
yeah,
Miami,
yeah.
and then I attended the one in DC this year, so I had a great time. A lot of discussion around Power Platform there, and AI, of course. alongside of SharePoint and SQL and all the other things that
Here's
kind of
the dirty
drove
little
those
secret,
days.
especially for sponsors that are out there. All of those events that are the community day events, they're your customers too. Whether
Mm,
it's a SQL Saturday, a
yeah,
formerly a SharePoint Saturday now an M365, that stack or Power Platform
yeah.
or on the Fabric side, it's all the same customers. It's in the Microsoft stack, so there's
That's kind of cool. The
value
stack
in
is the
going.
stack, and we're all using it. So there's a great, I mean, so much crossover now. More like you said, with that acceleration of power and AI, this crossover and the productivity suite, the crossover is pretty immense. And so it's
Yep.
fun to see it people start to come together there.
Well, thanks a lot for your time. Well, we'll connect soon.
Yep. Take care, Christian. Appreciate it.